Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. As I mentioned in my first impressions video of this watch, I've been wanting to borrow this from my friend for a while because it is absolutely iconic. It's gorgeous and it's just such a great design by Seiko. So tonight we're going to do a full review of the Alpinist because my friend is understandably anxious to get this watch back. So let us begin. So here is my friend's Alpinist, and just look at that watch. That is absolutely gorgeous. What a brilliant design. Absolutely amazing looking. These watches have kind of a cult following. They're extremely iconic. And this particular colorway is just gorgeous. I love the golden green. Yeah. I was very excited when he allowed me to borrow this. So this is the SARB 017, and I'll be doing a full deep dive into this watch, its history, and how this came into being. We'll begin tonight by looking at the strap that it's on. My friend has it on this brown leather strap, which I feel is perfect for this watch. I mean, brown goes so well with green and gold. And as you can see, it kind of gets distressed as time goes on, which makes it look even cooler. We have an unbranded buckle on it. And even though the strap is thick, it's still kind of pliable and comfortable to wear. Looking at the lugs, they're brushed on top, mirrored on the sides. They curve down nicely and just have a great shape to them. They're long enough to fit a thick strap like this on the watch. This would probably look pretty good with a NATO as well. Yeah. Looking at the sides of the case, you can see that it isn't terribly tall. It's a nice size, not overly chunky. And on this side we have the signed crown and the iconic crown at 4 o'clock. And we'll come back to that and discuss that in a little bit. The polishing and brushing looks so good together. Kind of gives this piece sort of a dressier or classier look to it. It has sort of an explorer style bezel here. And I have to say that even though this is larger than an explorer, when you're wearing it, it kind of has a similar feel to it, similar vibe that you get with explorer style watches. The crystal on this is flat, and it's actually sapphire. Right before making this video, I double checked, and sure enough. Most of the listings for these that I found online didn't mention what the crystal was. I finally found one that said it was sapphire, so I just wanted to double check that. Looking at the dial, you can see that there are triangle indices in between the numeric ones. And legend has it that those kind of represent jagged mountains, mountains of Japan. Seiko's intent was to create a watch for mountaineers. There are cathedral hands, and that seconds hand is so great. Look at that. That is so cool. The font on the dial looks good. And that gold and green, absolutely brilliant. There's a little dot of orange, red up here. And we'll come back to that in a moment. So let's see what it's like to operate this crown. It's a screwed down crown. All right. This feels great when you're winding it. It's very smooth and it feels like a good movement when you're winding it. So we'll pop this out all the way. This watch hacks. Yeah, there's a decent amount of resistance. It feels good when you're setting the time. Let's watch this date window flip over. And you'll notice that it's white on black. Perfect. All right, so we'll get this coming up upon midnight. And it's starting to go here at about 11:45. And it pops over just before midnight. Let's get these hands out of the way. And we'll operate this date complication. Pop this out to the first position. There. Yeah, that clicks over nicely. And that date looks so good, given the colorway that they did on that wheel. It's kind of weird when brands take a darker dial like this and go with a white background for the date wheel. Yeah, so we'll pop this back in and screw it in. The threading on this is really nice. It catches easily and it's smooth when you're screwing it in or out. Very cool. Now this crown down here operates an internal compass bezel, which I had no idea prior to borrowing this that was even a thing. I hadn't really looked into Alpinists much. I knew they were gorgeous, but hadn't really researched them at all. But you can turn this. And most likely, I think, use the hands to determine compass directions. I think in the past I did a video on how that's done, but it's been a while and I don't quite recall. But this is a pretty cool and fun complication. Let me get this back to its original position. There we go. Now there's loom on the hands and little pips of loom for the hours. So let's see how long that loom lasts. And looking at the case back, we have Seiko here at the bottom. It's a screwed down case back, so yeah, that's why that's not quite upright. We have some mountains in the center here, and the font, the calligraphy font of the Alpinist branding is so cool. And we have information about the watch around there. As for the specifications on this watch, the case size is 38 millimeters. However, I did encounter one review that said it was 39 millimeters. Perhaps due to the shape of this, it's kind of tough to get an accurate measurement, but I'll go with 38. The height is 12 millimeters. The lug to lug is 46 millimeters. The lug width is 20 millimeters. The crystal is sapphire. The water resistance is 200 meters. The movement inside this is the 6R15. And these are not cheap. You're going to be paying close to $1,000 for one of these. Alright, so let's see what it's like when you're wearing a Seiko Alpinist. Let me take off my Longines Dolce Vita, which is also a brilliant watch. Absolutely love this piece. Yeah, let me take this off, and I'll put the Alpinist on the wrist. And there is the Alpinist on my 7-inch wrist. My wrist is 55 millimeters wide, and just look at how this watch wears. It's 38 millimeters, but I feel like it wears more like a 36 or 37. It's definitely like wearing an Explorer, even though this is a bit larger. It's very deceptive. And it's not overly tall. The double crowns look pretty cool. And of course, that dial absolutely steals the show. That is just amazingly gorgeous. I mean, these are spendy, but I don't know. They're pretty brilliant. No wonder why these watches have a cult following. Just gorgeous. Everything is so classy and elegant on them. They're so unique looking, especially this colorway. You know immediately what you're looking at. That strap is perfect for this watch. Absolutely perfect. Look at that where it's getting distressed down here. Yes, I'm so glad I was able to borrow this and experience it. Just an amazing watch. So there you have it, the Alpinist. Be sure to keep your eyes open for my deep dive into how this watch came to be. And I'll discuss the iteration of the Alpinist that is absolutely up my alley. And now I have an eBay search out for it, but those are not cheap. They're even more expensive than this variant. Thanks for watching.